So you talk about deception. You talk about snakes in the grass. You talk about fake friends and fake family. You talk about relatives that don't keep it solid. You got a lot of cliche ways of referring to the fact that you don't like to be swindled. You don't care to be lied to. You don't like to be tricked. So can you tell me why all of us have sat alone and made a best friend out of the biggest trickster to ever, never exist? Welcome to your ego. What if I told you that your dysfunction had a pattern? Could you stand to honestly see it and embrace it so that you can change it? Or are you still wrestling with shame, guilt, condemnation that leads you to deflect and defend like you've been doing so that you can remain in your dysfunction like the ego would enjoy, because it's only in your ignorance, only in your dysfunction, only in your imagination that the ego truly gets to exist. Your ego would love for you to continue to do what you've been doing because that's why it gets to thrive. Your ego thrives off of fear. Your ego thrives off of other illusions. Your ego likes to be in the company of what it is, just like everybody else. Birds of a feather flock together. So your ego can be found in Fantasyland and Fantasyland alone. You will never find any remnant, any portion of your ego in reality. Not what you think reality is. I'm talking about reality in truth. You're not going to find your ego there. Your ego can't survive the truth. Take your ego into the light and your ego will dissipate. Which is why you keep your ego hid in the dark so that it can survive in your fantasy land. Because it's always been dead out here. You understand that, right? If we'd ever take the time to learn what words are and what words mean, we would know how to use words in a productive, efficient, edifying way. But since we don't, we throw them around and we use them as the spells that they are. And they reveal truths about ourselves that we are unaware of and totally blind to. And since we don't know how to listen to even ourselves so that we can take an honest, actual assessment of our insides, we'll remain in the blindness and continue to bump into the walls in the dark. Duh. So let's look at the word defend, right? D-E, as a prefix, means off, right? Turned off. Fend comes from the Latin word fender, which means to repel or to fight off or fight away. Defense is an indication, when you see this on earthly beings, that one is still in a protective posture towards truth. They do not aim to know, but rather aim to attack anything that seemingly attacks what they believe themselves to know already. You gotta become like a child, inquisitive, adventurous, open to new ideas, because you don't think you know. But when you've married yourself to one of your little vain imaginations and you've partnered with one of those pictures that you've painted in between your shoulders, it's really, really hard to get you to admit that everything that you're looking at right now is an assumption and it's based on the past. You will go to extreme measures to get somebody to understand that there is value inside of your assumption or opinion when there is none. I don't care about your opinion because I don't care about my own opinion. And I, in my opinion, seem to be one. So if I'm not going to live my life based on my opinion, what makes you think I would ever get it in my head that your opinion is so big or so powerful that I should live by it? I know that there is nothing inside of any of our opinions that isn't based on the past that we've all experienced. I know when you're speaking to me from an opinionated state that you are reaching into the reserves, the septic tank of your past, and trying to extend value to me. Your intentions might be well, but you are offering me a handful of shit. Caca. Interesting enough, the word fend means to look after and provide for oneself without any help from others. I'm gonna run that back. Fend means to look after and provide for oneself without any help from others. There's so many of us who are under the impression, because we reach into our own pockets after we go to the job or go to the business that we've built or that we've applied for and secured, and we've given our time in exchange for money, or given our services or expertise in exchange for money, that we are able to fend for ourselves. We think that we are inside of an experience where we look after ourselves and provide for ourselves with no help from others. And that's crazy, because you live as a part of the collective, the divine collective. You are not you without all, and all is within you and around you. Understand, everything is connected. And you've never provided anything for yourself. You're not that talented. You're not that capable. You are capable of receiving and enjoying, or denying and experiencing seeming suffering, because you have not partnered with true knowledge that is waiting to set you free and give you the experience of the abundant life that was inherently given to you by design. Not religious rhetoric, not scripture-based, not repeat and recite, not live and obey, not follow thy commands, not walk thy path. Design, natural order, creation. My children don't become less my children when they overlook me or disrespect me. They are still my children, in ignorance of what it means and what it should look like to walk in accordance and love with their Father. Flect is a Latin word, and it means to bend. Off, flect, bend. I'm going to get this off of me by bending this in such a way where the narrative no longer is something that is pointing at me as the issue, and there is someone else to blame. Deflect and defend are both common inside of those who have not partnered with truth and are still running from the attack of the destruction of their illusionary worlds, so that they can be liberated and enjoy what actually and naturally is and belongs to them. Defense is an indication of belief in separation and individuality, which ultimately leads to selfishness manifested. You can't defend yourself without being, you won't defend yourself without being under the impression that you're under attack from someone who wants to hurt you. And again, for you to do all of that, you have to have forgotten that this person in front of you is your reflection. This person in front of you are joint by design forever. This person is not someone who can harm you, because harm can't be done to one who is a child of the eternal, set for an eternal gift of life. All of these hostile mentalities have to be dropped. All of these hostile mentalities fall away with the embracing of one universal truth, that all things that exist are good by design. So how does the cycle look? How does it go? Not just for you, but for us all, because this is a universal experience, a universal class for universal students to return to their universal design. It all starts for all of us with our unnatural attachments. In the beginning, the things we attach ourselves to seem to have value. But almost 100% of the time, we come to a point in time where we realize that what once served us doesn't any longer. And if something is not serving us a purpose in the present, it's because it never did. It's not because the purpose has expired. It's not because we've grown or developed beyond the need to do something that we have done previously. It's that we were deceived in the past. We were doing something that we were attached to and that we thought had value for us. We have developed to a place of understanding inside of the level of realm of truth that error of illusion and partnership is no longer one that stands with us. And we have moved beyond that, oftentimes not to a place of genuine truth and freedom, but to a new cell, to a new prison. Illusions that we partner with and allow to grow within us, from small worms of ideas to dragons of concepts, cause us to operate in the physical realm the way that we do. What else drives you to continue driving to the job that you hate, where you say you're underpaid and unrecognized, other than your fear of illusions such as lack, need, and sacrifice, all which are illusionary creations not suitable for the descendants of the divine? You do understand that when you were a child, you had absolutely no concern of where dinner was coming from, but you didn't starve. You had no money, and yet all things were provided for you. But you also were fed a narrative that when you left your parents' house, you would lose such provision. And at that point, you would need to take upon yourself the role of fending for yourself, the way your parents fended for you. And that is the physical fear that is pushed on us as physical beings who are focused on our existence in a body. We fear losing the body. We fear the body not having what it needs to be sustained. We fear the body not having what it needs to not be embarrassed. We fear the body being misplaced. We fear the body being rejected. We fear the body being denied. We fear the body regressing or degenerating or deteriorating. All of our fears that we say are fears that we carry for things that can happen to us seem to be centered or based in our belief that we are our body. The body belongs to the Father. The Father is within the body. I am not my body, but my body belongs to me. My body was given to me to execute a purpose on the physical plane, which is the only importance my body has for me. But I don't have to get distracted. I can stay focused on executing my purpose in the physical plane without getting sidetracked about the well-being and wellness of my body when I remember the promise of the Father's Father, which says all things are sustained by me. So not only am I given a body, not only am I a divine eternal source operating within the gift, but the one who designed me as such a sufficient source of life was so thorough that all I have to do is recall the truth of the issue, that my body is always well and all things are always well. So all the things that I obsess with and get distracted with and spend my time trying to solve or unravel so that they can be well are always well. But my ignorance to such things is what causes me to miss the mark, which is the definition of sin. And the wages of sin is death. Death, the absence of life. Life. To know eternal life is to know the Father and the Son whom he sent. Oh man, this is not church. This is not religion. This is fact. And if you can get this, it'll release you from everything you've been tied up in, everything you've been wrapped up with, and you'll be free to operate in the gift of life, and life more abundant. Life more abundant is the only form of physical expression that is suitable for the descendants of the divine. So we go through the process of building these unnatural attachments, and then we enter the honeymoon phase with our unnatural attachments. Whether the unnatural attachment be a possession, a person, a job, anything, you will attach yourself to anything that you think adds value to you inside of this competition that you're in with everyone. But how can you add value to one who is already infinitely valuable? It takes you not knowing your value to set yourself out on a journey to add value to yourself. It takes you not knowing who is within you and what is within you. It takes you thinking that you are your body to think that you need to add value to yourself, or you need to modify yourself. It's so funny to watch all of you skinny leg, big booty, BBL built women walk around, not because of anything other than the physical expression of how funny it is to think that you or me could ever out-design the creator of all things. Like, when a female is 12 years old, her body begins to store fat so that as she progresses in height, she'll be proportionate. Like, the universe, which was drafted and is sustained by source, all, creator, God, whatever you call them. Very, very intentionally. And you thought you could get together and make plans with a surgeon and remake and remold and reshape the divine creation of your gift of a body. Notice I didn't say you. But you have people who will come and sit down and watch videos like this one, who will go and sit and watch videos like Neville Goddard, or go and sit in church and believe that they can add substance and value to themselves on the inside because they don't know the substance and value that they were built with naturally. All things exist inside of you. All things are within you. Infinite love and infinite power, infinite abundance, infinite joy and peace are within you. There is no way for you to get more. There is no more. When you were built, all things were given to you. And you've been out on a journey looking for more. If you would just dive into the field of discovery within yourself, you'll notice that you never need, first of all, you don't have enough time to fully discover all that is within you for you to ever set yourself on a journey looking for more. The honeymoon stage. Because of the way our attention works and the deceptive nature of the ego, when we first get entangled with our new attachments, we embark on the journey of validation. It was us who had the idea that the new attachment would have a significant impact. It was us who drafted the foolproof plan to convert the thoughts being rehearsed into action. And it was us who desperately projects value to the lowly vibrating mentalities promoting a narrative of them being effective. Who's us? Us is the legion of voices that you and I often listen to when we don't know the single, solitary, whole spirit that's within, speaking in a whisper, always in harmony with truth and self. So there is no echo, there is no extra chatter. It's so much easier to catch the chaotic noise of the ego if you try to toggle between the two. You're going to always miss a couple whispers when somebody yelling. You do understand that's why you have to be at peace, so that you can hear, see, understand, process, execute, apply, celebrate. None of these things you can do when you're anxious and busy. The legion of voices, the imaginary host of talkers that has been developed from our dysfunctional, chaotic past is us. It was us who drafted the foolproof plan. It was us who thought that the new attachment would have significant impact. It was us who rehearsed it into action. It is us who desperately projects value, promoting a narrative of it being effective to keep you wrapped up in it, because you are the divine life source that keeps it alive. Without your attention, everything within the imaginary world will die. Everything, including the ego and all of its attachments. It's your attention to your attachments that keep your attachments alive. It's your attention to your ego that keeps your ego alive. You've seldom thought that you have a bad idea. The things you make, you protect as you project onto them the importance or level of necessity. Typically, this is the time when those of wisdom around you are advising you against the new attachment, because very little conscious effort is ever utilized in the process of desire diving out of a need of lack. You and I were wired this way, not by design, but in the sleep, we were programmed this way. We were under the impression that our parents were fending for us when our parents were operating inside of a divine provision that was a gift to them, that is also a gift to us as we transition into the life of adulthood. Which is why, as parents, it shouldn't have been promoted as a fear that I should have carried, that one day I'm gonna have to do all of this on my own, as if everything that they were doing for me, they were doing on their own. If they wanted me to operate inside of a true awareness of the true nature of God, they would have promoted to us all the provision that was given to them to provide for us, that would be given to us to provide for ourselves and for our descendants in the future. But most of the conversations that we had about what it would take to transition from childhood to adulthood was centered in fear and was nothing but ego talk. Nothing but you trying to scare me into thinking that I'm not gonna be ready for adulthood if I don't follow your commands. And like I said, like our way of leadership is often control over connection. It's easier for you to brute force your way through something. It's easier for you to make someone fear letting you down rather than take the approach of being transparent and being honest and being open and allowing your feelings to be accessible. So if need be, you may one day have to return to this person and say, hey, you hurt my feelings when you said such and such, or when you did such and such. So if very little consciousness is given to the process of desire diving, like dumpster diving, out of idea of need or lack, then where does it come from? Why is it that we're constantly taken away and swiftly engaging in something that we say we know has no benefit for us at all? And then after the honeymoon stage, there's the separation, there is the breakup, there is the collapse of everything that was once a necessity, and now it all becomes my biggest headache. It all becomes the source of all that is wrong in my life. And now I'm in a state of chaos again, and I return to the very place that I went to when I built this attachment, to detach and find a solution for my pain. Now, when I return back to the place where I built this attachment, I go back to the one whose idea was to have an attachment. And the new idea from the one who had that idea originally is to detach and find a new attachment. Never, ever does the ego consider that attachment is the issue. Never does the ego consider itself to be the issue. The issue is always what it's attached to. The solution is always a new attachment, which is why up to this point, you've lived in a circle. And when you get to a place of understanding, I need you to listen, because I was beating myself up for this. I was trying to develop to a place where I did not go through this process at all, where I did not build attachments, where I did not have the honeymoon phase, where I didn't go through detaching from my attachment, where I didn't go through finding a new attachment. And some of this is natural to the state that we are in. This experience is a gift given to us to teach us, but I do not have to engage. I do not have to stay ignorant, thinking that within this process, there's some type of benefit or value for me. I do not have to believe that this is my savior, that this is going to set me free. I know that it's not. I know that this is the source of my bondage. I know that truth sets me free. So as I sit still and watch all of the toxic players inside of the experience of an imaginary fantasy land that I once thought was real, I don't have to engage. I don't have to partake. And I don't know about you. I don't know if you've ever noticed that anything that you don't give your attention to, whether it's internal or outward, disappears. When you stop dealing with a person and you don't harp over the fact that y'all are no longer friends, and you're not calling and telling somebody every other day or every 3 hours what happened between you and that person, you don't even see that person, even if y'all still live inside of the same city. Because you and that person ain't even no longer on the same wave. You stay over there, I'm over here. I'm not better than you. My attention is set on things above the things that you have set your attention on. You and I still have the same design, the same makeup. But I know, and I partner with mine. You may not. So the goal is not to get to the point that you stop all of these things from happening on the inside of you, to the point that you never have a thought or an idea of going into an attachment, or you don't ever find yourself attached to something. You don't ever find yourself enjoying something so much that your identity becomes attached to it. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But when it does, what do you do? Do you wrestle with truth to the point that you suffer because of your illusions? Or do you know that, hey, this right here, this cup right here, this is the Father's cup. And as much as I don't want to drink this cup, as much as I would love to pour my own cup in place of this cup, I know that this cup is the cup that's best for me. I know that I do not know. I'm not consciously aware of the best for me. I'm not consciously engaging in what's best for all. So there are some decisions I am not capable of making. So instead of running in circles, going through all of these catastrophic emotional storms where you find yourself yet again broken by the awareness that what you identified yourself by is no longer available to you because it was temporal and it was something illusionary once again. Every time you attach yourself to something, every time you build an idol, it falls. And every time it falls, you fall. And every time you fall, I Am picks you up once again, showing you that you are so much more than an overcomer. You are. But you stay so distracted that it's so hard for you to see the truth of yourself. It's so hard for you to see your reason to celebrate. It's so hard for you to see how much you've grown because you are so tuned for the negative. You wake up and look for what's wrong. You leave your house and you're on guard protecting those around you and yourself. In order to protect yourself and those around you, you have to be able to identify threats, which means you're looking for the negative. You're looking for what's off. You're looking for what's wrong inside of an experience where you were promised that all, inside of an experience where you were promised that all is a reflection of you, inside of an experience where you are living amongst creations that were all created by the good creator that created you. If we would just stop for a moment and genuinely learn the things that we say we already know, our lives would change dramatically. Your eyes are windows into your body. If you open your eyes wide in wonder and belief, your body fills up with light. If you live squinty-eyed in greed and distrust, your body is a musty cellar. If you pull the blinds on your windows, what a dark life you will have. Lock in.